another episode of the Adeptus Ridiculous podcast. My name is DK Diamantes. His name is Kirioth because Bricky is away, I think at WeebCon or Offkai or whatever thing he's doing, and it's going to be one of those days. But before we get started, if you enjoyed today's episode of the podcast and maybe you want to support Adeptus Ridiculous, head over to our Patreon at patreon.com/Adeptus Ridiculous, where you get access to the Discord, bloopers if they happen. $15 tier gets you access to all of our posters in whatever digital format we're pushing them in. And speaking of which, Kirioth, guess what? There's a new poster today. This one we have specifically waited for you to be hosting an episode. Kirioth, are you ready for the new poster?
I'm really excited.
Show them, Shy. Show everyone the new poster. Show them.
I have high hopes. The highest of hopes for this. I've set my expectations super high whilst also having no idea what it would actually be. So it's real. It's a real line that's going to be even marked with a spoiler. Okay, I'm going to count down. 3, 2, 1, click. Oh, excellent. Good grief.
We had to wait for you to be here because it is a Trench Crusade themed.
I was gonna say that looks like a trench ghost from Trench Crusade.
It absolutely is.
Oh yeah. I really like it. I actually really like that.
That's excellent. You should, because it looks great. I love it.
Oh, all the barbed wire as well.
Yep.
Like so much like gnarly detail.
Oh, Shy says she has an even more ghostly version.
Oh yeah.
That second one slaps so hard.
Oh, I love that. The red adds so much to it. It's already good, but that's quality.
Hell yeah.
That's awesome. Hell yes.
I would assume the posters will be up on orchid8.com by the time this episode goes live. Bricky is a little away, so I don't know if it's going to take an extra day, but check the description down below, orchid8.com, to get your fancy, fresh Adeptus Ridiculous merch. We've got sweatshirts, we've got hoodies. That's the same word, DK. That's the same merch. You get the idea. There's dice, there's objective markers. Go get your cool stuff, orchid8.com. Wow! Hi, Kirioth.
To be fair, just to defend you a little bit there, sweatshirt and a hoodie. Sweatshirts don't have hoods, so I feel like you're okay there. You're all right.
That's true. That's true, because we do have hoodless sweatshirts, which are just like sweat. All right. I'm just digging the orchid8.com, patreon.com/Adeptus Ridiculous. That's where you support us. That's where you get really cool Adeptus Ridiculous merch. Wow. Kirioth, how are you? And what's on the docket for today?
I'm good. I'm looking forward to this. I've got a quote for you, obviously, which you don't have any help with this time round. So I'm afraid the pressure is slightly higher than usual. But I think you'll probably be okay with this. No. And I'm not just saying that as a kind of like setting you up for failure sort of thing. I've got faith, shall we say.
Don't worry. I'll beat the hope out of you. Don't worry about it.
Shall I lay it on you and we'll see how it goes? Oh, Shy, come on.
No, you thought Shy would have hope for... Do you know her butt at all? Hello?
Right, that's fair. That's fair. Okay.
Shy, did you have hope in DK? All right, what's my quote?
Forgive, he says, speaking softly to the little lord at his elbow. The tiny demon giggles, then farts liquidly into the crook of his armor. That counts as forgiveness, probably.
I'm sorry, what? Read that for me one more time, please.
Forgive, he says, speaking softly to the little lord at his elbow. The tiny demon giggles, then farts liquidly into the crook of his armor. That counts as forgiveness, probably.
Wow. That is a quote of all time. That's gotta be some Nurgle shit, right? Well, literally. That's gotta be some kind of Nurgle demon or something, right? This has to be a Nurgle-themed episode. It has to be, right?
See? I said I had faith. I said I thought you'd get it. And you got it. What's the problem?
Quote about a demon literally fart shitting into some dude's armor. Gee, I wonder what that could be.
I feel like when it comes to 40k, sharting is really just one guy's domain, but still.
Thank you, Shai. Thank you. Kirioth was right. Well done. Kirioth had faith. I got it. Well done. All right. So is this just Nurgle themed, or is it like a specific Nurgling episode, or
this is a response in a way to some of the feedback that we got for the Space Marine 3 episode. So when Space Marine 3 was discussed and the idea of Nurgle being one of the primary adversaries was brought up, that kind of rehashed a very common critique regarding some bits about 40k related games, which is that we've had quite a bit of Nurgle. Why do we need more Nurgle? Which is kind of accurate in a way. It's a good point of perspective at the moment. 8th edition onwards, we've had a larger focus on Nurgle than previously. And at this point, the Death Guard are one of the most fully realized Chaos factions in the game currently. Their range outstrips Thousand Sons, World Eaters, and Emperor's Children. But a decade ago, the same thing could have been applied to Khorne. You could have that same thing of, well, we've had a lot of Khorne, why do we need more? The thing is...
I was about to make a food joke, but I'm not going to do it. Just
Were you going for Khorne on the cob, or that sort of angle?
I don't know. I was just there's got to be a food joke in here, because Khorne's good for you, because eat your veggies and stuff. But I was like, no, I should just let him go. And now here we are discussing my failed attempt at making a joke instead of letting you finish.
Because Khorne doesn't make you shart or something. I don't know. So,
well,
I suppose it depends on how well it's cooked. So there is kind of a bigger problem regarding Nurgle, though. That comes in the form of presentation. So the Chaos Gods themselves, on their surface level, present as things that are quite straightforward. And the very surface level of Nurgle results in people just thinking of zombies and gross stuff. And games like Darktide have hammed this up quite a lot, while neglecting the other aspects that make Nurgle, frankly, a lot more unique and quite a bit more fun. So, in this episode, we're going to go over the very fun, unique, and weird things that Grandpa Nurgle has to offer to show that he has a lot more variety in his pox bag that has been ignored for quite some time, especially on the 40k side of things, right? Because, despite the very strong presence of Nurgle, it's kind of missing a lot of the fun and silly bits of what make him so interesting and make Nurgle as a whole such a blast. So we're going to go back and look at the forgotten and fun bits to provide people with a broader scope of one of the most complex and honestly most entertaining deities when it comes to Warhammer lore.
Okay, because honestly, when I think of Death Guard or Nurgle or the Gifts of Nurgle, I also think just zombies, gross stuff, diseased armor. Think of a lot of Typhus with his sort of hive armor with all the crazy bugs coming out of it. I think of the green armor and just pus just everywhere, little Nurglings running around covered in goop and grime and stuff. And so, yeah, hell yeah, I'm excited to learn a little more nuance to Nurgle.
That's the thing. There's a lot of just it's all about disease and falling apart. And that's what Nurgle is. It's you kind of hear the word decay and go, oh, okay. It's all rust and gunk. Cool. But it's the same with the Chaos Gods as a whole, they generally have a lot more going on. It's whenever someone brings up Slaanesh and they're but have you seen that the older sculpts of the Demonettes, they had their chest showing? That's because Slaanesh is all about sex and nothing else. And it's like, well, no, it's about excess, which is not very well represented in the models, but it's what it should be. Nurgle is in the same vein as that, where there's just a lot more going on under the surface.
Okay. Teach me, Jedi Master, teach me.
So, to get the best idea of Nurgle, we need to take an in-depth look as to what makes him tick separately from the other Chaos Gods. So, the other Chaos Gods have got a fairly tangible concept and an almost apex sense of peak performance. So, Slaanesh is the master of their own domain and exist as the pinnacle of perfection itself, and those who follow Slaanesh are attempting to reach and match She Who Thirsts, but inevitably, that's obviously impossible.
Impossible, yep.
Similarly, with Khorne, you've got a concept that is forged in iron and war, and the brutality of getting skulls for a skull throne is an unending competition bathed in blood, which the phrasing of that is fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Even Tzeentch's baseline ideology is that of aspiration, provocative and ever-evolving, so Tzeentch's followers are in a boundless and endless quest for change, and are tasked with continuing that cycle, even if it is to their eventual mental detriment. And then you've got Nurgle. So the most important concept about Nurgle is established at his inception in Realms of Chaos, Lost and the Damned, and point for point is explained as follows. What is the response of living men to the undeniable and inevitable futility of life? Is it to lie down and accept death and the coming to naught of their every endeavour? No, it is not. Faced with the inevitability of death, what answer can there be but to run through life at a great and unstoppable pace, cramming each day with hope, laughter, noise and bustle? Thus, happiness and human endeavour are sired by coming to terms with decay and futility. This realisation is the key to understanding the great Lord of Decay and his worshippers. Once we comprehend what it is that the chaos power Nurgle embodies, it becomes easier to understand what might otherwise seem a contradictory or even perverse nature. On the one hand, he is the Lord of Decay, whose body is racked with disease. On the other, he is full of unexpected energy and a desire to organise and enlighten.
Okay.
It's so cool. The living know that they will die, and many know that they will live with disease or other torment, yet they drive this knowledge into a corner of their minds and keep it pinioned there with all manner of dreams and activity. Nurgle is the embodiment of that knowledge and of the unconscious response to it, of the hidden fear of disease and decay, and of the power of life which that fear generates.
Huh.
That's way more than just, disease and decay.
Yeah, that's way more intricate than just, zombies, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty intricate. I thought it was gonna go more down the route of like, all humans are like mortal. We all have, and he sort of thrived off of like the energy of like, well, whatever I got to do to survive, right? Whatever I got to do to thrive, whatever I got to do to outrun a disease that is inevitably going to try and rack my body. That's like, oh yeah, Nurgle's going to run off of that. But it's like the fear of like that's kind of cool. That I like that.
There's like an energy to it, like a desire to live and to enjoy that the other Chaos Gods just, in a way, don't have that same approach to things.
Mm-hmm.
So Nurgle is, by and large, like the only Chaos God that is inevitable no matter how you slice it. As the kill screen in Hades says, there is no escape, and in many instances it's hard to come to terms with this fact of life and work to avoid it or reverse it at all costs. But there's a big difference between wanting to live and reversing death. Those who are sick and dying have accepted their fate. Feed Nurgle just as much as those who say, I don't wish to die, because they both embody a very similar idea, the acceptance of life and what it has to offer.
Ooh. I do kind of like the idea that like Nurgle is kind of like inevitable. Like at some point you are going to be like, "Oh yeah, I don't want to die." Like there's always some corner of your mind that's like that. Like, ooh. That's kind of neat. Whereas like the other chaos gods, it's like you don't necessarily, they're not inevitable the way like that idea of survival or wanting to live or wanting to die is, right? Like everybody at some point. That's kind of cool.
I mean, if you think about it, not everyone is capable of doing what Khorne would require. Like, not everyone is going to be capable of killing. Not everyone is going to have the kind of desires or even be wired to want to chase them the way that Slaanesh wants you to. And there are people who they find what they want to do or what they enjoy, and then they do it from the moment they discover it to the day they die, barely changing. Which is not a bad thing. Like, if you find the thing that you love, or you find a place that you feel you belong and you want to stay there and you don't want to change, that's not an issue. It's not a problem. But that also flies in the face of what Tzeentch actively encourages and is striving for. Whereas everything, literally everything at some point is going to decay. Like, whether it's through age or illness, that's just how everything ends up. Apologies to anyone currently suffering some sort of existential crisis as they're listening to this, but that's kind of what Nurgle embodies. But there's also that kind of drive of, but I don't want to. I want to keep going. I want to keep doing what I'm doing, or there is that kind of clinging to life that happens alongside that. Just makes it way more interesting.
Yeah. And then there's also that like, oh, I don't want to get old. I don't want to get frail. And it happens to everyone. And Nurgle's mindset is kind of like inevitable, and it can get anybody. You don't have to be a great warrior. You could just be, little old lady, or you could be like the toughest general ever, and it's gonna, Nurgle. Oh, Papa Nurgle.
It's good. It's cool. So like, not wishing to die shows that you understand the limitations of like this mortal coil and saying, I wish I could keep doing this. But the express knowledge is that you can't. It's when you start doing the reverse aging biomancy nightmare stuff that Tzeentch shows up from Tom, like Tom from Tom and Jerry, like peeking his head through the door. There's a quote from the Black Crusade RPG book, which is, all that is required to feel the caring touch of Nurgle is to see life for what it is and to want to make the most of it. All that is needed is faith in the future provided by Nurgle. Like, that's celebratory. That's not kind of falling to something. It's almost like that's embracing something and going, well, you only have so long, so let's make the most of it. Let's go. Which is not the immediate image that's presented when you think Nurgle.
Yeah. I guess there's no real way to like quantify this, but what do I want to say? Because like there's certain stuff that feeds all of the chaos gods, and for some reason now I'm just like, man, Nurgle's got to be eating good, because literally, like we said, everything is going to at one point or another feel like that. They're going to realize what life is, how fleeting life is. Even if you're a space marine, at some point you're going to realize how fleeting life is, and that's going to feed Nurgle. Like, just getting old and being like, wow, I sure am getting closer and closer. I've got one foot in the grave. That's going to feed Nurgle. So, man, if you had to quantify it, would you say Nurgle gets like the most like energy from people, like chaos energy?
Well, that's the weird thing. There's a lot of overlap. Like, the kind of designations they give the Chaos Gods, it's like, Tzeentch is all about change. Slaanesh is all about excess. Khorne wants blood. The thing is, someone who is seeking perfection in combat, when they kill, they are seeking perfection. They are seeking to be on a par with Slaanesh. But at the same time, they could be spilling the blood of hundreds, if not thousands, which surely would also fall under Khorne's domain. And in doing so, aren't they becoming better? And if they end up mutating in some way, isn't that then somewhat feeding into the idea of change brought by Tzeentch? Like, a lot of it is, it's almost like this cross-contamination where you can kind of see a lot of the big kind of like the big names in in Warhammer as a whole, whether it's fantasy, AOS, 40k, whatever, there's a lot of kind of, okay, but in doing what they're doing, they can't just be feeding one, because some part of what they're doing,
all.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's not the most important question ever, but it's just like, man, it just seems like everybody's gonna get hit by Nurgle at some point.
Yeah, no, it's super interesting, because it kind of feels like there's this idea of, oh well, if you're following this particular god, then nothing you do could be considered as like helping or feeding any of the others. But when you look at just human behavior as a whole, which is what a lot of the warp is based off, there's got to be overlap. Like, there's no way that a Khorne berserker doesn't feel a bit of pride now and again at having wiped out, 50 guardsmen in 10 seconds or whatever. Like, as they're charging through, butchering human after human and causing fear and pain, there's no way that a little part of them isn't like, I did that. Now, who is taking energy from that? Is it Khorne? Or is it Slaanesh that's feeling that pride? Like, it's kind of, it feels, a bit like interconnected in some ways.
Yeah, I do kind of like that nuance between the Chaos Gods of, like, it's not so black and white.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of the things that make him so fun, to be honest. But there is a major point about Nurgle that gets thrown about a bit. If Nurgle is as happy as he is, then why is Mortarion such a bitch?
It's the daddy issues, obviously. Daddy stole my kill, right? Like, it's the daddy issue.
He's like the demon Primarch of someone who is happy and jovial, but Mortarion himself is just bitter. Like, bitter and the opposite of joyful in what he brings and how he exists. But that can also be explained with a fairly basic concept, which is the 5 stages of grief. So if Nurgle represents the end stage of the acceptance of death and the inevitability of it, he would also stand to represent the other stages just as much, because they are part of the process. Much like there are similar snowballings for the other Chaos Gods. So in the Liber Chaotica, which is a book that ties together the aspects of like fantasy and 40k, the connection is explained in a pretty on-the-nose manner. So if Nurgle is indeed the deified personification of mortal despair, is it not possible that he is also made up in parts of denial, fear, desperation, resentment, and bitterness? Indeed, if Nurgle personified and promoted only despair, then surely his servants would not have the energy, will, or determination to conquer in their master's name. They would be miserable, self-absorbed, and apathetic, i.e. Mortarion. Yet, as I have been assured so often by my contacts within the Reiksguard, Nurgle's servants are exceedingly determined upon the battlefield and are nothing if not tenacious.
Ooh.
I love that bit of artwork of Mortarion, by the way. Grumpy.
He does look very grumpy. He looks like someone that's like about to die. Like in that artwork, he looks like he's kind of like that kind of like, because his skin's kind of taut and sagging a little bit. He looks like he's not quite ready to accept death yet. Like, he looks like he looks like a Nurgling that's just kind of, not a Nurgling, but he looks like a man that's just really hanging on to life.
He also looks like he's looking at someone who is taking that picture, but he's asked them not to take pictures.
Yes, absolutely. He's the Crossfield man's like, don't take pictures.
Yeah, it's like, I'm on the verge of collapse here. Will you get that lens out of my face?
Yeah.
Stop it. Stop taking pictures when I'm at my most vulnerable. I do not like it.
Yeah, Shai said Morty is unlike most other Nurgle servants. He is stuck in bitter denial.
Yeah, which he's not enjoying himself, which is a shame, really, because that's part of what Nurgle offers, is a bit of joy. He's just too miserable. He's just too miserable.
But I mean, that does kind of make sense if you're like trying to like personify like the stages of grief that come with death. and the inevitability of it, I mean, kind of makes sense. And he would be a bitter dude considering how he even became a Chaos Primarch. So, I mean, it makes sense.
He's just not learned to embrace life.
No.
And embrace
sure
what
hasn't.
makes things how they are. He's just still stuck in the bit where he's fighting everything, which is, I mean, his story's already sad, but thinking about that actually makes it a little bit sadder in a way.
Yeah. And I always love it when people talk about Nurgle. Whenever someone's like, oh, what Chaos God would you worship if you had to? Most like, oh, obviously Nurgle, because, Papa Nurgle's gifts, and eventually I'll feel no pain, right? And it's like, well, yeah, but doesn't it take like an unending amount of pain and suffering to like get to the point where you're like, hooray, I've accepted death and nothing hurts me anymore? And it's like, I don't know if that's the guy I don't know.
Oh, we'll get there, don't worry.
Okay, yay! Yay!
So, the aspects of Nurgle's forces that embody like some of the more negative bits of the 5 stages is to be expected. But to have an army that's entirely of one mind and one aspect of their faith would be their undoing. So Nurgle needs to at least partially present some of these bits as part of his like grand party, so to speak. And with the 5 stages, there's also no real set order in which they may or may not appear in someone. So it's not exactly far-fetched that someone like Mortarion would be an analogue of something like Depression, despite being a part of Nurgle's forces for some time.
Fair.
And that also explains why there's some aspects of Nurgle-like forces that are more morose as well. They've only just begun their process and have not reached the inevitable end stage of acceptance. And ultimately, acceptance is where Nurgle shines the most. Because unlike the other gods, where the end stage is akin to constant upkeep and perfecting of a certain trait, Nurgle's final stage of acceptance is basically just a big party where you can kick back and relax or just have the best time possible. And that's something that you see in the demons more than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So also, like when you look
that
at
artwork is brutal. Holy.
It's so good. It's really gruesome. But like that's the thing where it's like I hadn't played Darktide for quite a long time after it came out. Then I started playing Darktide with a friend, and you get like the plague zombies, and you get the stuff that isn't the more jovial and fun side. But if you read some of the AOS stuff, it talks about how his invasions are borderline caravans of joy, and you don't get that from a lot of the more kind of popular portrayals in media. Like they're not as highlighted as often. So especially the demons. The demons that Nurgle has are one of the major separation points between himself and the other Chaos gods, because the demonic forces of the other gods are pretty much horrors, whereas the ones that are part of the Garden Party are a diverse band of goofy little guys. So you don't have like demons that are built to kill you in 100 ways, or blue and purple ones that are biblically accurate horrors beyond comprehension, or the super fast sex horses of Slaanesh, which is the best description of that I've seen. All of those are more or less viewed as exhaustive tools in the field of battle, as opposed to a country jamboree where the band leader has nothing but reverence and appreciation for its members. A demon of Nurgle is loved and accepted by Nurgle because that demon has accepted Nurgle in the first place, and that puts them in a completely separate tier than the majority of the others.
Ooh, so okay. So like the acceptance of death has finally gotten them to this stage. They can just have a party. Okay. All right.
They're just out there loving life. I love the that model is so good. The little nurglings all like crowding up. Look at the smiles.
They are all very happy. Is there I guess I want to say, is there a game or a book that you know of that portrays Nurgle and the demons in that way? in a way that's just like, oh, look at them. They're so happy. They're having such a good time. Like, yes, they are feasting on the dead. They are ripping people apart. They are the most horrible things ever. But look at them. They're so happy. They're just enjoying life, and they're, because whenever I, like we said earlier, whenever I think of Nurgle, I'm just like, oh yeah, zombies that are going, and they're just mindless. I never really thought of them as like these happy, jovial little guys that are just really enjoying the thrill of ripping you apart and eating you.
So the kind of big book that everyone thinks of is Lords of Silence, but when you look at things like various battle tomes and codexes to a lesser degree, there's also the Liber Chaotica, and there's like stuff spread across the RPGs as well. That's when you start to get more of a feel for the Chaos Demons and the way that they, frankly, have a grand old time. Like they're not all absolutely loving life. I forget the name of it, but there's a specific great unclean one who constantly feels like he has a lot to live up to because he was a nurgling and he dropped into the cauldron in which Grandpa Nurgle was making his diseases and turned into a great unclean one. And so he feels like a sense of not being worthy. He started out the smallest of the small, and now he feels like he must do great works. But at the same time, it's kind of emphasized. Nurgle loves him. Like, Nurgle absolutely loves him. It's like, oh, this is brilliant. This is great. This great unclean one came from being a little tiny lad, and he's doing his best, and he's fantastic. But the great unclean one is just like, oh, I don't feel like I should be this. But it's not necessarily reciprocated. Like the actual god that's being served and is the object of that creation has love and care, which, I mean, that by itself, can you really say that Khorne cares for the demons that are fighting in his name? I'm going to guess probably not. Probably doesn't care either way.
Well, I mean, I guess, maybe. I would imagine if you bring a lot of skulls to Khorne and you prove yourself to Khorne, surely he's got to care a little bit about you, right?
I guess in that case, maybe not care, but do you think Khorne is capable of loving his creations?
Oh.
Probably not, right?
Yeah, probably not. Not in the same way that it sounds like Nurgle, like, really loves his demons, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's interesting about like the little one that becomes the great unclean one, because it's like you said that like Nurgle like loves him, right? And I mean, I can kind of like, I'm sure there are people out there that be like, oh yeah, my dad or my parent is so supportive. They would never tell me that I don't deserve where I belong. And there's like that sort of pressure to like, oh, they've been so supportive. I have to do right by them. I'm not doing enough. I have to. So like, that's like a relatable feeling, right?
It is alarmingly. It is very, very relatable.
It's I hate the fact that I'm like, oh yeah, I can relate to Nurgle.
I can relate to a great unclean one. What?
Yeah, what?
Sentences you didn't think you'd say in the year of our Lord 2025.
2025, yeah. Shai also said, in Lords of Silence, Nurglings are super happy and Death Guards treat them as their little sidekicks and friends. And I think there's a moment where Nurglings ask someone to hold them in their hands like little babies, and then they fucking eat that person. Oh, great. Well, still, that's, that's...
I mean, it's still adorable.
Yeah. And it's just, wow, like, you don't expect to see that in a Chaos Warband, right? Because in a lot of the other Chaos Warbands, they are more than happy to betray, slaughter, and kill each other. And it just doesn't sound like that would happen in like a Nurgle Chaos Warband.
They like each other too much. They're a big family.
Yeah.
A weird, disgusting, weepy, open sword family.
Yummer.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So, when it comes to the demons, like, there's no better place to start than with the Great Unclean One, because it serves as an almost direct physical analogue of their patron deity. So, we know that the Great Unclean One is a absolute mass of rot and decay, but you'll never find a happier-looking creature out there. Unlike its outward grotesque appearance, the Great Unclean One is more directly represented by his smile instead of his bile. So,
nice. I see what you did there.
In character, the Greater Demon is neither death-like nor morbid. In fact, the opposite is true. Great Unclean Ones are motivated by all the trivial human enthusiasms which drive the living. They are ebullient and vociferous, full of natural enthusiasm to organise and achieve. They are driven by a gregarious and even sentimental nature and hold their followers dear, even referring to them as their children and taking a noticeable pride in their appearance and endearing behaviour. We stan a self-accepting king.
Wow. We stan a self-accepting king. That's a possumism, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Okay. I heard that. I was like, that's possum's work right there. That's, yeah.
Oh, this is pure possum. This is pure possum. So
I also always forget just how big Great Unclean Ones are. I guess because I've just seen like the minis, and then anytime like Shy puts up artwork of them, they are like towering, almost like the size of a mountain, just this moving mountainous mass of like just exposed flesh and open wounds, guts pouring out, big smile on their gut, and it's just like, oh right. And I think I remember like an episode that we did where Bricky was like, oh yeah, if there's a Great Unclean One on your planet, you might as well just exterminatus it, because it is very, very hard to get a Great Unclean One off your planet, and you might as well just give that shit up to Nurgle.
Oh, yeah. And the nice thing is, though, that a lot of the people on that planet are probably having a great time when the missiles launch and the lasers go off. Yeah. So when you're arriving at a place to deliver Nurgle's gifts, you can see how happy and jovial he is. He's like a stage manager and presenter instead of a gigantic creature of torment, and he properly makes his appreciation known to those around him. So there's a quote which is, "The Nurglings flock to their master, squabbling and bickering in their impatience to nestle in the warm comfort of his decaying bosom."
Yeah, I was like, I do not want to be nestled in Nurgle's decaying bosom.
I'm not up for that.
Nope.
Nurgle's children, our pretties, our pets, cried the deep, warm voice of the Great Unclean One. How Nurgle loves his little children. How Nurgle loves his little pets. Granted, he eats one of the Nurglings after this bit, but the Nurgling is having a great time, so it's okay.
All right, cool.
And we'll get into some of the festivities later, but we need to talk about the Nurglings, because as far as the fun aspects of Nurgle are concerned, this has remained very consistent over the years. There's very little in 40k which has remained consistent over the years, but the Nurglings, they're up there, right? So, much how the Great Unclean One is meant to be a direct analogue of Nurgle himself, the Nurglings are little versions of the Great Unclean One. That's why they take such good care of them. They are grown from the Great Unclean One, and are, in a sense, actually his little children. And he properly treats them like that, but sometimes this childcare results in an accidental Lenny of Mice and Men moment here and there.
Oh, no.
But doesn't mean he loves them any less. He still loves them. It's just, occasionally it doesn't go well, which I'm assuming, did you read that in school?
Yes, I read that in... I might have read it in, 8th grade? Maybe earlier, actually.
I feel like this is one of those great sort of what's the phrase, things to bring people together. I don't think I've met anyone who hasn't read of Mice and Men at some point in school, regardless of where they're from. It just seems to me like the world decided everyone needs to see this, right?
So what we'll do is
we'll give it to kids who can be slightly traumatized by the idea of being put down because you're not quite right,
Yeah. Poor Lenny.
Poor Lenny. He was just doing his best.
Yeah, he was just doing his best. He just wanted to think about the chickens, Lenny. Oh my god, I hate it. Move on. Tell me more about Nurgle.
So, in the original lore, Nurglings can be born from a person who accidentally steps on a literal snail trail left by a great unclean one, where they grow within their host, and upon maturation they are born by climbing through the alimentary canal and leave its host by one or other end.
Oh, nope.
I don't like that.
No, I
don't
really
like it.
So you could be like trying to evacuate a world that had a great unclean one on it, and you're just like, oh god, I gotta get it. I gotta get to the spaceport. You kind of like slip and slide, but you're like, whoa, almost lost my balance there. Turns out it was a great unclean one puddle, and then you're shitting out nurglings.
I mean, basically, yes. Also, when you said evacuate, I really thought you were going to say, so you could be trying to evacuate your bowels. And I was like,
boom, nurgling.
Well, I just immediately went, wow, that's a hell of a way to go straight off the bat, but you didn't even say it. So that just means that I'm the freak. So that's...
We're all freaks now. Also, Shai, that is the worst time to put that GIF up there. I hate it. Goodbye.
I hate that GIF.
Not even gonna...
Now it's just playing in Discord. Shai, say more so I don't have to look at it. How do I pause it? Okay, I'm just going to not look at that
I
for a
think
minute.
you can click it and it'll pause it, right? No, it won't. Oh, God.
It just makes it bigger. That doesn't help. That makes it worse.
That makes it so much worse.
I don't like it. Stop. Okay, there we go. Thank you. I think that's the first time Shai's deleted a message after mass protests, which is an achievement in and of itself.
I just, as we react to that, I just imagine Shai just like doing like the evil, like the Dr. Evil, like rubbing your hands together thing and just cackling.
Yeah.
Would not erase. Just like, I love this, suffer more. and yeah, I'm shocked that she got rid of it.
We're growing in power. I take that back. Don't put it back in. So... After the Nurgle, it's just wall, like a full wall of that GIF. So after the Nurglings are born, they run around, cause a bit of mischief here and there, but they're still just full of love. Like they remember their original host, and they will come back to them and give them little presents. So like, you know, if you've got a cat and it tears a bird apart and then you get like a bird's wing as a gift, they'll do that sort of thing. They'll bring little presents. They'll bring little gifts to their host that sort of, admittedly, not willingly, gave birth to them. Yeah.
Huh. Really? Because, like, a part of me figured, like, oh, yeah, once the Nurgling was either or out the other end, I kind of figured the Nurgling would either kill them or the process of hosting the Nurgling would kill you. But it doesn't, and they just act like a little pet, and they'll just like bring you little crazy presents.
Yeah, they love them. Which by itself is actually really different when it comes to 40k. Like
that's so weird.
Admittedly, you know, the way they show up is horrific, but then them remembering them and wanting to give them things as opposed to, you know, I don't know, eating them from the inside out, you know. Stealing their limbs or whatever. Like 40k is kind of replete with stuff where it's like, and then something awful happened. But don't worry, it got worse. This time round, it's like, then something awful happened. But then it stuck around and gave them gifts, which is kind of, it's kind of not par for the course, really.
So I don't know if this is a question that's like ever answered. Maybe it is. Like, has there ever been someone that was on maybe like a planet with a great unclean one? They stepped through a little bit of great unclean one sludge, gave birth to a Nurgling. Nurgling loves them. And then like the host just like really likes the Nurgling and they like escape and they just keep the Nurgling as like a pet. And they live happily ever after, and the Nurgling and them just, hooray, I'm just going to put a leash on you, I'm going to call you Fido, and you're my new dog.
I'll be honest, I don't know, but I really hope there is. And if there isn't, someone needs to get on that right now. You've had a few authors on. Start sending messages. Let's go. Let's go. I want to hear the tale of the guy who's got his pet Nurgling and they live together and have a great time. I want to read that.
Me too, right?
Short story, novel, I'm happy either way.
Mm-hmm. Shai said, I mean, at this point, you're on a Nurgle planet surrounded by Nurgle demons. I don't think you're getting out anywhere. True, I guess.
That's fair. At least you're having a good time in the process. So that's something.
Supposedly, yeah.
Supposedly. So, like, throughout the history of 40k, there's a remarkable number of instances that showcase how charming and adorable Nurglings are. And despite the horrors in the Lords of Silence book, this remains the same and is further intensified by revealing how they are referred to as Little Lords, going back to the quote at the start of the episode. Mm-hmm. So there's a few cute Nurgling moments from that book in no particular order. I tell you what, I'm going to do a copy paste. And would you like to read this one? Normally, when I copy paste, this goes badly wrong. So if it fails, I will read it. But hey, it worked.
All right. Only the little lords dare to impose themselves, breaking his concentration. On each occasion, he stoops to pick them up, and they coo and snicker at the attention. They extend long black tongues to lick at the old wounds on his armor, and they spend hours clumsily attempting to fix the long rents in his decaying armor. Aww.
Is that not cute?
Yeah, if you didn't know what a Nurgling looked like, oh man, that'd be so cute. But then, the mental image of it is a little, weird, but it's like, aw.
You say that, but you know the sassy Nurgling, right? You've seen the sassy Nurgling.
That's true, I have seen the sassy Nurgling with the hand on the hip. That's, fair.
And his little bum sticking out? Yeah. That's definitely cute.
That they can be kind of like adorable little guys. That's true, that's fair.
There's another quote, which is, it does not understand the significance of any of this. It has done what it always does, followed its hungry instincts. It is absurdly happy. Almost all of the time, it is absurdly happy. Like, he's just a cute little guy. He's just a cute little guy having a great time. All the time, he's just having a great time. There's another one here.
I've been roaming. As Slirt speaks, a little lord plops down from the roof space and splats onto his shoulder. It coos affectionately into Slirt's clogged earpiece, and Slirt lets it nuzzle. Oh,
it's so cute.
Oh man, and there's even the little Nurgling plushie, right?
Oh yeah, I need one of those. I still haven't got one, and I need one. There's also, he sees a little lord plop down from a fizzing cluster of cabling. It shrieks as it splats on the desk, and he gathers it up carefully. It coos at him, and then nuzzles into the crutch of his elbow, snickering needle teeth. Vaux turns on his heel, passing the little lord absently. They're just cute little guys, having a great time, and
everybody
being
loves
with
them.
Respect and love. Yeah, they actually genuinely really liked them. They don't just keep them around. They stroke them. They let them nuzzle into them. They're like little pets that are always happy.
I'm starting to get it when everyone's like, "Oh yeah, I would totally worship Nurgle, and I would totally go to Nurgle, and if I had to worship one, I'm starting to get it. I'm starting to understand the appeal of just, the acceptance, the sort of, I guess, love. They do really appreciate each other, and they do have this, there is this sort of crazy, like, familial unity towards, like, Nurgle and his followers.
100%. Like, I used to really like the Death Guard, and then I kind of went off them a bit with the range refresh they had because I felt it was a bit too busy, which is absolute hypocrisy on my part because when I kit bash stuff, it ends up really busy. But that's my choice. I made that choice. I didn't buy it like that. I made it like that. It's still not logical, but whatever. I'll be honest, as we're going through this and as we're talking about this, I'm like, Death Guard are pretty cool and Nurgle's pretty cool as well, and I kind of want Nurgle now.
Yeah, like it's like, wow, they're like,
I'm being swayed in real time.
Yeah,
I'm being like converted.
I was like, I thought Thousand Sons are my favorite faction in Chaos, and I'm like, Nurgle does sound pretty great. Like, if you have to be corrupted by chaos, it kind of feels like Nurgle is the way to go.
You just having a whale of a time with a pet Nurgling? Count me in.
Yeah, I get a pet Nurgling that loves me and is just like on my shoulder. Well,
just going to
sign
fart on
me up.
randomly. Great.
Well, yeah, but you're Nurgle, so that's not the worst thing that'll happen.
Yeah. So, as mentioned, it's far from the only instance of Nurglings being just a little bundle of joy and goofiness. In Warhawk, a Nurgling is given to the Death Guard apothecary Zadar Crozius by Typhus himself, and the Nurgling flops and just splats into his arm, which just makes Crozius laugh. And every time he speaks to the Nurgling, he just coos at it like it's a little baby. Treats it like a little child.
That's adorable. The Death Guard being adorable towards Nurgling was not on my Adric bingo card for today.
It's so good. And the thing is, outside of the kind of comforts of being surrounded by other Nurglings or other Nurgle worshippers, in the Dark Imperium series, Fabian encounters one in a dark hallway, and instead of attacking, the little lord just blows a raspberry at him and runs away. Again, they're having a great time. They're loving it.
All right. Nurglings alone may have converted me to a believer of Nurgle and the Death Guard and everything they stand for.
They're the best. This is, admittedly, this is entirely separate, but Possum really wanted to include this because it's hilarious. So in Plague War, the second Dark Imperium book, a Demon of Nurgle sees a Sister of Silence approaching him, and this is a direct quote from that book. Alarmed at their approach, for their killing him would bring the true death, Squatimus let out a mighty fart and decapitated himself with his own sword.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, it's so good. So there's plenty of other demons of Nurgle. So when it comes to the demonic hounds of chaos, the first thing that comes to mind are the flesh hounds of Khorne, including the three-headed lad that recently got his stat sheet back. Excellent. Or just run-of-the-mill hellhounds. But what if, I'm going to present a hypothetical here, what if the Beast of Jeredan was a slime girl, Decay?
Whoa.
Does that sound good?
Whoa, what?
Like the sound of that?
What if the Beast of Jeredan was a slime girl? You had my interest, but now you have my attention.
So the Beast of Nurgle is a notable creature that you encounter across a lot of media, and it serves as a boss encounter in Darktide and is presented as a crawling eldritch horror. However, the origins of it are less monstrous and more puppy-like, so the Beasts of Nurgle are referred to explicitly as slime hounds and Nurgle's lapdogs, and their attitude is absolutely not what you'd expect. So, despite its fearsome appearance and deadly attributes, the beast is a friendly and affectionate creature, behaving in all respects like an over-friendly and easily excitable puppy. It craves attention, greeting newcomers by slobbering all over them with its slimy tentacles. Once they get thoroughly worked up, they can rarely, if ever, contain themselves and leave little puddles of acrid slime behind them.
That thing?
Yeah.
Wow, all right. Not what I was expecting from wow, all right.
No, they're just enjoying themselves. They're just happy to see you. They just want to be around you, all right?
Yeah, wow. There's so much Nurgle stuff happening right now that just is not at all what I would expect from them. Right? Like we said at the beginning, when you think about Nurgle, you think of zombies, decay, death, pools of acid and boils and just unending suffering and pain. And that is not it at all.
No, this is the thing. It's presented as slow, implacable, silent zombie, waves of zombies followed by, especially in 40k, Death Guard, not saying anything, just impossible to kill, shooting from range. Anything they touch gets diseased and either dies or is converted. But the actual, Demons of Nurgle Nothing like that.
Yeah, it's crazy. It is not. All right, let's go. So what's all right? So they have happy dogs now too that are covered in teeth and boils and mouths, but whatever.
It is explained that the beasts are like a bit thick. They're a bit dense. They don't realize that their excitability can cause damage and potentially be fatal. So if their new playmate becomes paralyzed or dies inadvertently due to them being too painful, they get sad. They actually get bummed out by the fact that they've killed their new friend because they wanted to have fun and be a playful little pup. But their new playmate has just dissolved into slime on the floor because they got too excited and tentacled them to death. And so they get sad about it.
So is it the case that like you have to be a follower of Nurgle for them to be this way, or like because with a lot of these things,
I honestly
I'm like,
don't think it makes a difference.
Wow. So like if for some reason this thing was just like a Warhammer warp thing happening, bloop, this thing just appeared in like an Imperial town. It wouldn't care that it was like looking at just a normal Imperium human. It would still be kind of joyful and just arf, 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 arf. I don't think that's the sound it would make, but whatever. And like try and play with the humans and not try to kill them and eat them.
Yeah, he wants friends. He wants to play. Wow. He sees a new person. He's like, let's go. I had a dog like that, but the difference is she wasn't, 6 foot tall and extruded acid and tentacles.
Yeah.
They want to be friends. They want to be friends. They're a playful little puppy who also happens to be massive, and then you die because look at it. What are you going to do?
Yeah. Well, granted, really if this thing is rushing a guardsman, the guardsman is just going to be like, no, we are killing this thing. Obviously, it needs to die for sure. But it's just so weird that like a lot of the Nurgle stuff just happy to be alive, and they're more than happy to just cradle a Nurgling or play fetch with their creepy 6 foot tall tentacle dog.
They love it. And this is what makes Nurgle so fun and interesting, and not just like, here's a never ending wall of zombies. Mm-hmm. So there is something that Possum has put in here purely because they want to hear me say it out loud.
Lovely.
In fact, I will read the heading for this section. A type of Nurgle demon I just want Kirioth to say out loud because it'll hit different with the accent. So just so we're clear on the motivations for this one.
Nice. Awesome. Really nice.
So, as mentioned earlier, Nurgle likes to party, and no party is complete without a band. The heralds of Nurgle are those who lead the way and bring the party to any given place. Some of them are a bit more authoritative, and they're there as like military generals, but one of the best ones is easily the Sloppity Ball Piper.
The Sloppity Ball Piper, huh?
Sorry, oh my god, I've fallen over myself. I've gone self-conscious because it's been pointed out. The Sloppity Bile Piper.
Bile Piper. Oh, I thought you said the Ball Piper, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be good.
That's just because my accent is.
That's okay. Well, and then I saw the picture, and I was like, oh yeah, because he's got these like big bulbous like.
I can do a variety of UK accents if you want, but Sloppity Bile Piper is probably the correct pronunciation. You could go like Queen's English, the Sloppity Bile Piper, but it's,
Oh, wow, the artwork of it is... All right. I
mean, again, look at him. Having an absolute whale of a time. He's got his bagpipes, he's got a big staff, he's got a smile on his face, he's loving it. Absolutely loving it.
I do love a good Cyclops. I must admit, I do like me a Cyclops. So, what's his shtick?
So, lore-wise, it's stated that they can hang out and joke around with the Little Lords, so the Nurglings, the Great Unclean Ones, and the Beasts of Nurgle. So they are absolutely the life of the party. They're also carriers of a disease that causes people to laugh so hard that they die.
That tracks with how they look, and yeah, that sounds about right. Court jesters.
Yep.
So their mini is great.
Yeah, the mini's fantastic. So Possum does point out that normally here they'd make a SpongeBob reference about Man Ray and the Tickle Belt, but instead you're being referred to the funniest joke in the world bit from Monty Python's Flying Circus, which I fully appreciate. So nice one. Excellent. Love it.
Hell yeah.
There's also, it's worth pointing out, this is just, apropos of nothing, but there are historical documents and things that talk about people dying of laughter. Just something made them laugh so much that they passed away.
That is a real thing that has happened. Yeah. That is a thing that has happened. People have died from laughing too much. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's both hilarious in a morbid way and also genuinely a little bit scary. I don't like the idea that that's possible.
Is that all that I hate saying, is that all that they do? So they're just happy guys. They're playing their bagpipe. They're swinging around their silly little cane, and they're just singing songs and cheering on their friends as they go to war or whatever. And you can maybe contract a disease from them that makes you laugh to death.
Pretty much, yeah. Which, I mean,
excuse me.
It wasn't a
very fitting for Nurgle episode.
Yeah. You're being infected as we go. Like it's steadily getting worse.
I made the mistake of saying I'm liking Nurgle now more and more, and it's just like oh my god.
You're letting him in. He's getting in there.
Yeah, he's in.
You've got to pull back.
What's this goop? Why do I need to go to the bathroom now? What's going on? Anyway, continue.
I really love these guys because they are just having a blast. They're just playing music, dancing around, and it's so good. So, Shai has just said, so Heralds of Nurgle are mortals who resisted Nurgle's rot for a long time without turning into a zombie. So before they become funny dancing men, they got to suffer from the Black Plague for like 100 years.
Ouch.
I mean, it's not all fun and games, but some of it is. So,
Yeah, I mean, once you get to that stage, though, it's all fun and games. You just get to dance around, and congratulations on your years of service. True,
yeah, you accept it, and you're having a whale of a time. So, again, oh my god, the way that Possum devised some of this stuff up, it starts innocuous. This one is just the Venga bus's arrival. Which, again, I approve of wholeheartedly. But, so, as mentioned beforehand, the arrival of Nurgle's demons is presented less as an invasion and more as a party. So, for Nurgle's visitation is like that of a travelling circus or great fair, except that the entertainment it offers is disease. Mm-hmm. Nice. Solid quote. So, when the party arrives, the great unclean ones start telling stories to hype up all the folks in the caravan, and it's the prelude to them arriving in any given location. It's called the Dance of Death, which involves them dancing around and singing 3 separate times the night before their arrival. So I'm going to put these in so you can read them out for us.
Excitedly, the demon began to beat its drum slowly and rhythmically at first, and gradually faster and faster as it became carried away by the sense of occasion. All of his servants cheered and applauded, and Nurgle acknowledged them with a smile and a regal wave of his festering paw. The warbands flocked to the sound of the drum. They came in carts and wagons like those of Nurgle's own cavalcade, marched into camp, or simply distilled from surrounding woods like shadows at sunset. Some of the most severely mutated of them wore bright carnival masks and voluminous robes, completely failing to hide their unique disfigurements, if that was a fact in their purpose. The plague bearers carefully recorded the names of each champion as he arrived, announcing his titles as loudly as they were able among the rising laughter and squeaking chatter. Damn, they really are just preparing for a party. And I love that Nurgle is just like, hey guys, hey guys, how you doing?
Yeah, he's loving it.
Yeah.
Like it's all about bringing joy and fun and happiness, and it's so the polar opposite of what they look like when presented just in model form and stuff. It's just like, oh, wait, this is the same faction that has the guys who are borderline silent in combat, just killing people and impossible to hurt. It's so different. Like, really, really different.
Yeah, like when I think of like a Nurgle invading someplace, I think of just like the slow lumbering Walking Dead. I never really thought of it as like, it almost sounds like more of a death carnival that's just, they're just having fun. They're just singing, dancing, playing music, and wow.
And the thing is as well, it's like, it's not that it's a refusal of death, but acceptance of Nurgle does, in a way, prevent death from catching up to you for a while. It's the acceptance of it.
Yeah.
An almost celebration of the life before that happens that makes it really, really interesting. So there is a planet which is so, so good. I can't remember if we mentioned this in the Demon Worlds episodes. We might have done. But there is a planet called Bubonicus that is run by a demon prince called Bubonicus.
Well.
Sure. He's the John Bubonicus of Bubonicus. But this is a planet in the Eye of Terra, and it's a holy planet of Nurgle. And this is where plague bearers are formed, which are like the kind of everyday troops of Nurgle.
Mm-hmm.
They're guys with the one eye, green skin, a horrible rusty sword.
Sure.
The thing that makes this planet interesting is that it is one of the few vibe planets of 40k. The entire equator of the planet is made up of a massive human chain of people dancing and singing and having an awesome time. And every time one of these people turns into a plague bearer, another human is brought in, so the conga line is always complete. Nurgle loves it. Absolutely loves this planet. And the fact that people are having a great time makes him so happy that the party never ever stops.
Huh.
It's great.
Wow.
It sounds awesome.
It kind of does. Like,
I hate to say it, but I'm like, okay, I kind of want to go there. I want to at least see it. Maybe not participate straight away, but I'd like to see it, you know?
Yeah, comparatively speaking, this is way better than all the other chaos nonsense. Jeez, all right. Okay, Nurgle. Yeah, like Shai said, I want to see it from orbit.
Oh, that look badass. That look great.
You can probably hear the music playing from orbit before you even like hit the atmosphere. You can probably hear the music that they play there, like, I don't know, a whole planet away. You can hear it on the moon.
Oh, surely. I mean, the sloppity bile pipers will be playing at full volume, so it will be good.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I feel like we're being indoctrinated here.
I feel like this episode is the Nurgle indoctrination episode for sure.
It really feels like it. So, death is the end. We know this, but there are plenty of aspects in the life of a regular citizen in the world of Warhammer 40k that are seemingly worse than death. So, like, we're casual observers from the outside, which is a major plus because, you know, actually being in this universe would be awful.
The worst.
It would be terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Like, whenever you see those things of, oh, which universe would you like to be in? And people are like, oh, I'd like to be in my favorite anime. I'd like to be in my favorite TV show.
And Pokemon training an Eevee or something. And
then
it's like,
all the 40k fans are like, fuck no. Nope. Absolutely not. I don't want to be anywhere near that. It's just not happening. Please leave me alone. Mm-hmm. So like the horrific nature of being ground to a pulp as a nameless cog in a tyrannical machine it's bad.
Yeah.
Nurgle.
I was going to say, or being a servitor that remembers.
Oh God. Yeah. No. I hate the existential horror. No, I don't hate it. I love cosmic and existential horror, but only whilst I'm watching it or reading it. And then I stop watching or reading it, and then part of my brain goes, yeah, but what if? And I'm like, please stop. Please stop it.
It's that when you're trying to go to sleep and it's like, oh yeah, time for sleep. But what if 40K was real? What if you were a servitor?
Like, I got recommended, and this is, it's a mild tangent, but I got recommended a film by a friend. I love sci-fi, big sci-fi fan.
Mm-hmm.
And I was recommended a film called Aniara, which is effectively a film where it's like, oh, there's a spaceship and it's going from Earth to Mars, but then they get knocked off course. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. The friend who recommended it said it was sci-fi. They didn't say it was basically existential dread from minute 15 to minute 2 hours and 10. And
Lovely.
It was a very good film. I will never watch it again. I was like, I came off the back end of that going, I don't understand my place in the universe. And also, why did you tell me this was sci-fi when it was just horror? It was just existential horror for 2 hours. What is wrong with you? And they went, oh, well, I only watched the first half an hour, but then I had to turn it off. It's like, okay. Yep. I'm never listening to you again in my life.
Also, Shai brings up a great point. Hey, Kiriath, have you ever played a game called Soma?
I've never played Soma.
You should play Soma.
Oh, God. Pay me and I'll play Soma.
It is sci-fi. It is undeniably sci-fi. But
and that's all.
It is an amazing game. Though,
sure.
And you should actually play it, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Anyway, Nurgle!
I'll try it. So, Nurgle offers something interesting to human followers in the context of 40k, which is a goddamn break. So, in Lords of Silence, which it's a novel that does its hardest to show the absolute worst bits of Nurgle's brewer point, there is a description of a guard member succumbing to the effects of Nurgle. For his entire life, Dantine's personal habits have been fastidious. His regiments were always well run, with regular hygiene drills and dorm unit inspections. There were times when this seemed almost obsessive, as if the Departamento's rules had become a part of the state religion that governed every other part of life. Those rules were a protection, though. Disease was always a big killer in the Astra Militarum, and efforts to stave it off were unrelenting for a reason. Now, he does not care. Mostly, this lassitude appalls him. He cannot understand why he no longer cares, but deep down, buried where his old heart once beat, there is something else. Something infinitely shameful, so that he does not think of it often and pretends that it is just another part of his sickness. But it is there all the same. Relief. And I'm going to put the next bit in for you.
Ooh. Relief, huh? Okay. He no longer has to make the effort, and that is a pleasure in itself. It is like falling asleep or sinking into a warm pool of water. He lets it all slide, all degrade. He can feel his muscles atrophy and does not intervene. He can feel his bowels swell with inflammation, and it matters not. This is a kind of release. This is like a fist clenched for a lifetime, slowly relaxing. Ooh. That sounds like a
relief.
Yeah, it sounds like a good thing. It sounds like somebody that has been in boot camp for their whole life, and they're finally told hey, just chill. And it's it feels like they're it sounds like their whole body just relaxes. Everything is fine. You can just exist. It sounds like that's a good thing that's happening to him.
Yeah, it really does. It's that. Have you ever had that thing where there is a very important phone call you need to make, and you need to make it this week, and you spend days going, okay, on Friday morning I've got a call. I've got to call them. I need to call. I need to make sure everything's okay. I've got a call. And then you do it, and they go, yeah, it's all fine.
Yeah.
It's that. But over a lifetime of that, and then just having that feeling of it's all good. You can see why a Nurgle would have that kind of relieving effect. The idea that all the stress, the anxiety, the worry, the fear, the grief, the panic is just gone.
Yeah, it just melts
and all
away.
that's left is just acceptance, and
you just
everything's taken care of.
Get in the conga line, guardsman.
Start dancing around the equator.
Man, so more and more, it's just like, Nurgle's pretty great.
It's pretty cool. So, like, we can interpret it in, like, a multitude of ways. So the way that it's presented makes one consider it at face value as someone falling by the wayside and becoming consumed in a depressive and apathetic sink into nothingness, in akin to extreme clinical depression, which there is a hint of, to be fair. But when you consider the life of someone in the Imperium, which is a fictional, awful, overbearing nightmare setting, the idea of being able to be taken care of and not having to worry about anything, I mean, that sounds like heaven.
Yeah. You don't have to worry about crazy... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, like in that context, in that setting, not having to do any of that, I mean, that sounds pretty damn good.
Yeah, I mean, you just look at the life of, like, the workers in some of the books, and they're just like, yeah, my existence is awful. I work incredibly crazy hours. My few time off, I get to watch, like, the TV, and the TV doesn't work, and even when it does work, it's just blaring sermons at me, telling me to be better, and it's like, ooh, I would almost rather just party with Nurgle 24/7 than have to deal with the droning, drudging life of just being in the Imperium.
Yeah. I mean, like, there is enjoyment in having nothing to worry about. And Nurgle is absolutely okay with taking it as easy as possible. There's a demon prince of Nurgle who was a voidsman in the Imperial Navy named Josephus Malone, who is now known as the Carrier. He was very bad at his job and earned a reputation as one of the laziest members of the battle fleet, and he quite liked it. He was all on board.
Shocking.
He just got pushed around from ship to ship for 50 years until he and his security party encountered some demons of Nurgle. He got infected, but he never showed any symptoms, so he kept up his job, going from ship to ship, being hired and fired. But in his wake, he would leave illness and disease, still showing no symptoms. And eventually, he was encountered by agents of Nurgle who came up to him and said, "Hey, we love your work. Nurgle thinks you're a bit of a Chad. We have an offer for you." And they just gave him a life of eternal ease away from the Navy so he could finally be lazy without consequences. He accepted it. He decided to keep his sort of human looks. And centuries later, he's still just being a bum on Imperial ships, appearing at random points, offering travellers an easy way out of the warp, and he just keeps doing what he did all the time before, but now, whenever he leaves, whatever ship he was on is part of Papa Nurgle's fleet.
Wow, that sounds like a good deal.
It's like pretty good, right?
Yeah, this is literally the Nurgle indoctrination episode.
It really is.
I'm just like, wow, that doesn't, like, considering the way the other Chaos factions work. It's like that sounds pretty good to me.
Now, all forms of chaos are a bit bad when you think about it. So they're all very extreme, and they are the excessive versions of their base concepts. And as we all know, excess is bad, but chaos is chaos, demons is demons, and ultimately it's total ruin overall. But have you seen the actual hell of the other three chaos gods? When it comes to Nurgle, you might not be the apple of his eye, but you are an apple in the compost bin, and he loves you because you being there means that his flowers can bloom. He appreciates everyone. Absolutely everyone. With Khorne, if you don't behave in a way that is befitting of Khorne, you lose everything that makes you capable. With Slaanesh, if you're not striving for perfection, then you're not worth any consideration. With Tzeentch, if you are not attempting to enact or embody change, you get nothing. Nurgle, if you're accepting of life and the inevitability of death and decay, you're in. You're there. And he
loves that you're there, it sounds like.
And he loves you for it. Maybe not as much as a Great Unclean one, but, there's still an appreciation. There's still a constant feel of, if you have that acceptance, you are part of his kind of like, not pantheon, but part of his court, part of his caravan, his never-ending party.
Huh. Yeah, that is vastly different from like the other chaos gods that like you have to actively do stuff to get them to really, really appreciate you. Well, with Slaanesh, it's like it's different. Like you've got like different circles of hell before you get down to like Slaanesh territory, right? Although I'm not really...
there's different stages or different kind of levels where it's greed and... I was going to say greed and avarice, that's the same thing. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's different levels of Slaanesh's domain, whereas it feels like Nurgle is just... I mean, there's a guy who literally ended up being a demon prince of Nurgle by being lazy. He just couldn't be arsed. He couldn't be arsed, and he'd accepted what he was, and he'd accepted the inevitability of everything, and Nurgle went, you know what? I see what you're doing, and I appreciate it. Imagine going to Khorne and being like, well, I can't be asked to do anything, but can I have some of your divine power? No, absolutely no.
He'd yeet you across the solar system. He'd yeet you across the universe. Crazy.
You would be dismembered every single day for all of eternity for just daring to say it. Nurgle's like, here you go. Here is effectively eternal life to just be a bum across any ship you feel like joining.
Yeah, let me give you accolades for that.
Yeah. We've kind of gone over how fun Nurgle can be, which means we can sort of circle back to the original idea at hand. So the utilization of Nurgle in a game does not have to be relegated to just disgusting zombies shambling around with their guts hanging out, being bullet sponges just full of pus. It doesn't need to be that. Unlike the other Chaos gods that are really stuck in their thematic ways, Nurgle and his followers have the luxury of being fully realized and fleshed out over the years with a huge amount of variety that can make their appearance in media be way more surprising and strange. So we can have Nurgle, we can have the Death Guard, we can have plague zombies, but we can also have demons dancing around having a party. We can have Nurglings giggling and laughing and farting and jumping around and dropping on you from a height. We can have Great Unclean ones that express love and affection for those who convert to Nurgle's side. You can have like big slug dogs running up to you and wanting to play fetch. Like the sloppity bile piper playing his, I don't know, bile pipes, bagpipes, either way. Like just, you can have that carnival party feel, which is completely opposite to what we see in like Darktide, for instance. But the thing is, we've kind of been stuck in a bit of a rut, with Nurgle and his gifts. There's a lot of surface value presentations of Nurgle, and the constant focus on this part of him neglects the aspects that would do a really interesting job showing off aspects of the full-fledged nature of chaos to people who are just going into franchises or looking for more in-depth things relating to it. So, like, at its earliest inception, 40k, it was weird. It was like a wild oddity with an incredible array of big ideas that range from dark to hilarious. And some of this stuff went by the wayside, which is kind of a shame because it's been replaced with things that are more straight-laced and edgy. But ultimately, Nurgle does not represent just zombie-like despair and apathy. He represents accepting futility and continuing. So I'm going to give you one more thing to read out.
All right. Life springs from rot. Untold numbers of bacteria, viruses, insects, and other carrion feeders thrive on the decay of the living. From the wake of every plague rises new generations, pox-scarred perhaps, but also stronger than those that came before. Regeneration comes from decay, just as hope is born from despair. The greatest inspiration coming in the darkest moments, in times of crisis, mortals are truly tested and driven to excel. Ooh. And, you know, as we've been talking about this, you know, I don't know if I want necessarily Nurgle in Space Marine 3. It would make sense, and I get it, but like now there's a part of me that wants not a Space Marine game. I want a 40K game where I can play as someone that has been infected by Nurgle, and like we're going around just doing Nurgle-related stuff. And you get like this first-person perspective of Nurgle actually embracing you and the Nurglings accepting you, and you're just part of this diseased, awful, dark carnival family. And I almost think I would rather prefer that.
That sounds pretty cool. I'm now thinking, could there be such a thing as a buddy cop game where you are the lazy arsehole from those ships with a Nurgling companion, and instead of solving crimes, you're just finding the best way to infect this cruiser with Nurgle's gifts? It's just like, okay, you've got a new job. It's to sneak into the engine room and infect the coal that they're using for the heating system.
Mm-hmm.
And you can send your little Nurgling friend off to scurry through ducts and splat into things. And you can distract people. And I don't know how you'd make it work. I'm almost thinking like, what is it? Messiah of Dark Messiah Magic or whatever it's called. Oh, what is that game? It's so old.
I don't know.
I feel it's too old.
Also, I think that sounds right. Shai said, I think in that case, it would be interesting if you get infected early on, and then as game goes on, you kind of accept there's no cure, and it kind of shows your character relieved by the end and accepting their fate. That'd be perfect for a Nurgle game, because that's the whole point of like that's your journey. Once you sort of like accept that, perfect. Coconut milk, perfect.
Overall, I just now want to collect Nurgle. I've been fully converted.
I have too.
I've got so many projects, but now I'm like, well, they announced new combat patrols for Death Guard, and surely, like I could grab one of those, right?
Of course you could. Of course you can.
Surely I could just get one of those, and it's fine. I mean,
just a little treat, right? Just a little
they've replaced the combat patrol that's full of poxwalkers, so that's the most important thing, because that was absolute garbage. But now there's one where you get Terminators and a few Death Guard. You get the Myphitic Blight Hauler. You get the new Lord of Poxes, the guy with the big sword. You've got to have seen that guy. He's great.
I don't think I did, actually, with the big swords. Lord of Poxes.
Not seen that? Okay, right. I've got to show you this. It's one of the best Death Guard models they've done for ages. He's so good. Okay, hang on. Here we go.
Okay.
This guy, absolute badass.
I think I might have seen him because immediately he reminds me of, have you seen The Fifth Element?
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Reminds me of those aliens from the beginning.
Yep.
I don't remember what they're called. But yeah, the Supreme Beings. Yeah. They remind me of that. Like if you just painted it yellow, it's close.
But he's got this big like backpack sack full of poxes that he just projects out. He's got the massive sword that is full on like anime style slung on the back of him.
Looks great. It's great. I do love that. That's fair.
Absolutely quality. And now I'm I didn't want this before this episode, and now I kind of do want it.
You do. You want it.
I've been indoctrinated by Possum. Possum has struck again, and now I'm like, I want this stuff. I want it now.
Yeah. I think we've been proper indoctrinated to Nurgle.
But the thing is, in the context of Space Marine 3, which is what this all stemmed from, when people going, nah, no more Nurgle. No, we've had Nurgle. Darktide has done Nurgle. We don't need Nurgle. I mean, to be fair, Darktide has done a fraction of what Nurgle is. Imagine a Space Marine game where you're minding your own business, and then there is I don't know how else to phrase it, a carpet of Nurglings just like flowing towards you, giggling and farting, and they jump all over your armor, and you're trying to get them off, and you've got like a flamer or like a plasma cannon, and you're trying to get rid of big swathes of them, and then you just hear weird bagpipe music in the background, and there's like this like plague bearers dancing around towards you. I mean, come on. That would be so good. It would be so unsettling and weird if the enemies that you're fighting are absolutely loving it. They're having such a good time. You're like, I'm fighting for my life here. This is horrific. And then you just hear them singing and dancing, giggling to themselves, shrieking in joy as you shoot them. It would be so creepy. It would be great.
Comment section. I will concede with you that if Nurgle in Space Marine 3 is just still impossible for you, I will side with you as long as I get my alternate universe 40k game where I can be indoctrinated into Nurgle slowly as the game goes on and slowly get corrupted and be accepted and see all of these horrors in fully realized fashion. Then you can have...
I second that.
I don't know what most people want from Space Marine 3 in terms of what enemy faction it should be. I'm sure every different fandom kind of wants to see their faction fully realized, which is fair. Like, everybody kind of wants to see their favorite thing in it. But, you know, as long as I can get this game where I'm accepted into Nurgle's Garden, you can have whatever you want in Space Marine 3. I will concede it.
Yep, I'm in. Same. Hard same.
Shai has a quote here. It's, I gazed at his magnificence, my vision completely filled with his glorious girth. All around me was flesh and smiling flies. Within his bulk, I spied lesser minions, suckling on his leaking entrails. Barf.
Please no.
Oh my God. At his feet, pools of pus and other bodily fluids gathered, in which his children splashed and played with glee. It was a blessing to behold such glory and joy. It was with great sadness that I awoke into a world filled with imperial dogma and admonitions. I knew then the path I must walk. Ooh, someone getting corrupted in it. That is essentially what has happened to us here today on this episode.
It really is.
We're just man, it sounds great to be with Nurgle, not care, be happy. If I want to be lazy, I can be lazy. I've got a family that accepts me for who and what I have become. I have accepted life, I have accepted death, and I am better for it. And it's like, damn, apparently... What, 14th Legion? Death Guard?
Oh, God. I think so. Oh, no.
Ooh,
You've put me on the spot.
Let's go.
Shy. Don't
Shy,
14th? Don't leave this
Shy,
bit in.
You gotta leave this bit in, especially if I'm right. Decay nailed it.
Okay, yes.
Let's go.
Nice.
Let's go. He's learning. He's starting to
Hell
believe.
Yeah.
Let's go. I don't know what their call is. Is like pus for the 14th Legion or something, or bile inhalation for the 14th. What's their call?
Dancing. Do they have a dancing call? God? What?
Yeah. Shit for the shit.
Oh
like,
no!
Shot
for the shot god.
Exactly. What's their chant? I don't know what their chant. We need to learn. Man, this is the start of our Nurgle arc. Here we go, everybody. Here we go.
Now, all I can think of are the absolutely not correct ones. I can only think of shart for the shart god, and that's not it. It's not accurate. It's
Shai,
not.
Can we please end this? Can we please end this episode?
Battle cry none.
No, this is how we're ending the episode. Shart for the shart god. Let's go.
Shart for the shart god.